Your ankles are swollen right now, and most people have absolutely no idea that their daily habits are making it 10 times worse. Not just the sitting, not just the standing. There's one specific thing happening inside your veins and lymphatic system every single day that is silently turning your legs into water balloons. And the fix is so simple, it almost sounds like a joke. A vascular surgeon once told me something that completely changed how I think about leg swelling. He said the human body was never designed to be still. And yet here we are, sitting at desks, lying on couches, riding in cars, and then wondering why by 5 p.m. our socks are leaving rings around our ankles deep enough to plant seeds in. Today we're going to talk about exactly what causes that painful, heavy, tight feeling in your lower legs and feet. We're going to dig into the real science of what's going wrong in your body when fluid builds up like that. And most importantly, I'm going to walk you through one specific movement, simple enough to do in your living room, at your desk, or even in bed, that surgeons and physical therapists are now recommending as one of the most effective tools for draining that fluid and keeping it from coming back. Stay with me all the way through because the practical tips section alone is worth it. Let's start with what's actually happening when your legs swell. The medical term is edema, and it simply means excess fluid has accumulated in the tissue outside your blood vessels. Now your body has two major systems working together to manage fluid in your legs. First, your veins. They're responsible for pushing blood back up from your legs to your heart against gravity. Second, your lymphatic system, a network of tiny vessels that act like a separate drainage system, collecting excess fluid and proteins from your tissues and returning them to circulation. When either of these systems gets sluggish, fluid leaks out of the tiny capillaries and pools in the soft tissues of your feet, ankles, and lower legs. That's why swelling tends to be worst at the end of the day. Gravity has been pulling fluid downward for hours, and if those pump systems aren't working hard enough to push it back up, it just sits there. Now, here's where it gets interesting from a scientific standpoint. Your calf muscles, the big muscles in the back of your lower leg, are literally called the second heart by vascular specialists. When you contract those calf muscles, they physically squeeze the veins running through them, pushing blood upward toward your heart. This is called the calf muscle pump, and it is extraordinarily powerful. Studies have shown that a single contraction of the calf muscle can push nearly half the blood in the lower leg veins upward in one squeeze. But when you're sitting still or standing without moving, that pump goes completely offline. Gravity wins. Fluid pools. Your ankles balloon. This is why the one movement I'm going to show you works so incredibly well. It directly activates the calf muscle pump on demand. No equipment needed. No gym required. Just you and a very specific way of moving your feet. Before we get to the movement itself, I want to make sure you understand why this is different from just walking more, because people hear that advice all the time and it doesn't always solve the problem. Walking does activate the calf pump, yes, but walking requires you to change what you're doing. You have to stop working, stop watching TV, get up and actually move around. And for people with painful legs, jobs that require sitting or mobility limitations, that's not always realistic every 30 minutes. The movement I'm describing is something you can do while seated, while watching this video, while sitting in a car, while on a phone call. It's called ankle pumping, and before you roll your eyes thinking that sounds too simple, I need you to hear me out on the science, because this is not just some generic advice. This is literally one of the first things surgeons have patients do after major surgery to prevent dangerous blood clots from forming in the legs. They're not doing it because it sounds nice. They're doing it because it works, and the research on it is clear. When you perform ankle pumps correctly, meaning in a specific rhythm, with full range of motion for the right duration, you get 60 to 80% of the same venous return benefit as walking. Studies published in journals focused on vascular medicine have found that regular ankle pumping exercises in sedentary patients reduced lower extremity edema measurably within just a few days of consistent practice. In post-surgical patients, it's been shown to significantly reduce the risk of deep vein thrombosis. That's not a placebo effect. That's physiology. So let me walk you through exactly how to do this properly, because technique genuinely matters here. A lot of people do a lazy version of this and then wonder why it's not helping. Sit comfortably in a chair with your feet flat on the floor. Straighten your back slightly. You want your spine in a neutral position, not slouched, because slouching actually compresses the vessels in your pelvis and makes drainage harder. Now here's the motion. You're going to flex your feet up, pulling your toes toward your shins as far as they'll go, and then point them down toward the floor as far as they'll go. Up, down, up, down. That's it. That's the movement. But the key is doing this correctly and consistently. When you pull your toes up towards your shin, you're contracting the muscles in the front of your lower leg. When you push your toes down and point your feet, you're contracting the large calf muscles in the back. That alternating contraction, up, down, is what physically milks the blood and lymphatic fluid out of your lower legs and up into the deeper circulation. Think of it like squeezing a tube of toothpaste from the bottom. You're systematically pushing everything upward. Do this for a full 2 minutes at a moderate pace, roughly 1 full pump every second or 2. Don't rush it. Slow and controlled with full range of motion is far more effective than fast and sloppy. Do this at least every hour if you're sitting for long periods. If your legs are already quite swollen, doing it 3 to 4 times in a row with short breaks between sets can significantly accelerate the drainage process. Now let's add a second layer to this, because ankle pumps alone are powerful, but combined with a few other simple techniques, they become dramatically more effective. Elevation is your best friend when it comes to swollen legs. When you raise your legs above the level of your heart, gravity suddenly works for you instead of against you. The fluid that has pooled in your ankles now has a downhill path back toward your core circulation. After a long day, lying on your back and propping your legs up on 2 or 3 pillows for 20 to 30 minutes while doing your ankle pumps can produce a visible reduction in swelling that you can see and feel within the same session. The combination of passive gravity drainage from elevation plus the active pumping from the movement is simply more powerful than either one alone. Hydration is another one that constantly surprises people. They think that if their legs are retaining water, they should drink less. This is actually backwards. When you're dehydrated, your body goes into a kind of conservation mode and actually holds onto fluid more aggressively in the tissues. Drinking enough water, around 6 to 8 glasses a day for most adults, keeps your circulation more fluid and your lymphatic system better hydrated, so it can do its job of clearing excess fluid from the tissues. I'll address the full myth around this in a moment because it's one of the most common mistakes people make. Let's talk about the role of sodium, because this one is important and often misunderstood. Sodium is not the enemy. Your body needs sodium. But excess sodium in your diet directly causes your body to retain more water to dilute it, and a significant portion of that retained water ends up in the tissues of your lower legs because that's where gravity deposits it. Processed foods, fast food, canned soups, soy sauce, deli meats, these are the major culprits. A single fast food meal can contain more than 2,000 milligrams of sodium, which is nearly an entire day's worth in one sitting. Reducing processed sodium doesn't mean you have to eat bland food forever. It means cooking more at home, using herbs and spices instead of packaged sauces, reading labels and being aware. Many people who reduce their sodium intake notice a dramatic reduction in leg swelling within just 3 to 5 days, not weeks, days, because the body is already very efficient at clearing excess fluid when you stop loading it with salt. Potassium works in direct opposition to sodium in your body's fluid regulation system. Foods high in potassium, bananas, sweet potatoes, avocados, leafy greens, beans, salmon, help your kidneys excrete excess sodium and pull fluid back into the bloodstream from the tissues. Increasing potassium while decreasing sodium is one of the most evidence-backed dietary strategies for reducing chronic edema. It's not about any one superfood. It's about a consistent shift in the balance of these two minerals in your daily diet. Here's a mistake that I see people make constantly, and it genuinely makes their swelling worse. They notice their ankles are puffy, so they sit with their legs crossed or tucked underneath them, thinking they're elevating them slightly. What they're actually doing is compressing the blood vessels behind the knee and in the groin, which completely chokes off venous return from the lower leg. It's like putting a kink in a garden hose. All that fluid now has nowhere to go, and the swelling actually gets worse over time. Another big myth is that compression socks are only for elderly people or people with serious medical conditions. This is simply not true. Graduated compression socks, the kind where the pressure is tighter at the ankle and gradually decreases as you go up the leg, are used by athletes, long-haul flight passengers, nurses, teachers, and anyone who stands or sits for long periods. The gentle pressure they apply to your lower leg from the outside essentially does the job of your calf pump passively, even when you're not actively moving. They're not a fashion statement, they're a tool and they work. The third myth worth busting is the idea that drinking less water will reduce your leg swelling. We touched on this earlier, but it deserves a full correction. Restricting water does not help leg edema. In fact, when your kidneys sense low fluid intake, they increase production of a hormone called aldosterone that tells your body to hold on to sodium and water. The result is more fluid retention, not less. Drinking adequate water is genuinely part of the solution, not the problem. There's also something worth mentioning about the quality and timing of movement throughout your day. It's not enough to exercise once in the morning and then sit for 8 hours. The calf pump needs to be activated regularly throughout the day to keep venous return consistently strong. Even simple habits like standing up and walking to the kitchen every hour, doing a set of ankle pumps before you get out of bed in the morning, or doing calf raises while you wait for your coffee to brew, these micro movements add up to a dramatically different circulatory environment in your lower legs over the course of a day. One technique that physical therapists often recommend is what's sometimes called a 10-10-10 reset. Every hour, do 10 ankle pumps, take 10 steps, and do 10 calf raises, standing on your toes and back down. This takes less than 2 minutes and keeps the calf muscle pump primed throughout the day. It's an absurdly small time investment for the circulatory benefit it delivers. Sleep position matters too, and it's something most people never think about. If you sleep on your back with your legs flat, gravity is at least neutral overnight, which is better than sitting upright. But if you sleep with a thin pillow under your calves, just enough to keep your heels slightly elevated, your body will passively drain accumulated fluid all night long. Many people who try this for the first time notice their morning ankle swelling is significantly less after just 1 or 2 nights. Now, I want to be straightforward with you about one thing. While all of these strategies are genuinely effective for typical lifestyle-related leg edema, swollen legs can sometimes be a sign of something that needs medical attention. Heart conditions, kidney disease, liver problems, thyroid dysfunction, certain medications including blood pressure drugs and hormonal treatments, venous insufficiency and lymphedema are all conditions where leg swelling is a symptom rather than the problem itself. If your swelling came on suddenly, is only in one leg, is accompanied by pain, warmth or redness, or if you have any history of heart, kidney or circulatory issues, please see your doctor before trying to manage this on your own. If your swelling is chronic and not responding to lifestyle changes after a couple of weeks, that's also a signal to get it checked out. These tips are supportive tools, not replacements for proper medical evaluation when it's warranted. If this video helped you, go ahead and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who are dealing with the same issue. Subscribe if you haven't already so you don't miss what's coming next. We're going deep on something that almost nobody talks about, the hidden connection between poor sleep and chronic inflammation in your joints and what you can do about it starting tonight. Leave a comment below and tell me, has swelling in your legs been something you've dealt with, and did any of these tips surprise you? I read every comment. See you in the next one.